Welcome everyone. So starting from this session, I will be taking on some practical examples to teach you some further commands in Sketcher Palette. We have already covered a few basic commands in quite a bit of detail in the previous sessions. Some of these commands were line command, rectangle command, circle command, and ellipse command. Now, from this session onwards, for any sketch that we draw, we will try to follow two strict guidelines. What are these guidelines? The first one, we try to eliminate all weak dimensions. So we try to get rid of any blue dimensions in the sketch that we create. All dimensions in Final Sketch should be in black color. What is the second guideline? The second one is we will depict only those dimensions in our final sketch which we can see in our drawing. So for example, in this drawing, for which we will be constructing the sketch, we will exactly specify two dimensions. One is the diameter of 2 units and the other one is the horizontal length of 4 units. So please note, we will not show or specify other dimensions in our final sketch apart from these two. So apart from these guidelines, there is a sequential procedure which we will follow in all the sketches that we will be creating from now on. There are 4 steps in this sequential procedure. Step 1. Always create a rough sketch of the drawing first. Rough sketch means a sketch which resembles as closely as possible to the actual drawing without specifying the actual dimensions or the constraints. Step 2. Specify all dimensions provided in your drawing, but do not give exact values of your dimensions here. Step 3. Specify appropriate constraints and eliminate all weak dimensions. Step 4. Specify exact dimensions. So this sequential procedure will become more clear when I'll take on this practical example. So let's look at this example first. So as a general rule, we first select the working directory. I'll create a new sketch. I can name it trial 3. I can turn on the grid display. So as you can look into this drawing, so let's first create a rough sketch. That is step 1. So I'll take line, and then I may or may not join this line, though I need to, but just to demonstrate you the 4 sequential steps, let's say I make this line a little longer intentionally, not intentionally, but to demonstrate the 4 steps of this sequential procedure. So now I'll be demonstrating the use of the arc command, which is something I haven't covered. So this is how you can use it. So I'll be using the 3-point tangent end. So I'll take this arc, I'll take 1 point, second point, and I can leave it here, the third point. So I've constructed arc. Like in a similar way, I can construct an arc at this end as well. So 1 point, 2 point, and it's done. So as you can see, though my drawing just depicts 2 dimensions that need to be specified, but I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weak dimensions. But I've completed the step 1. Step 1 was to create a rough sketch, a sketch that resembles as closely as possible to the actual drawing without specifying the actual dimensions or constraints. Now the step 2 is to specify all dimensions provided in your drawing, but we do not need to give exact values of your dimensions. So what does this mean? I'll go to dimensions. So this is one dimension that is provided to me in the drawing. I can click on it and make this is a radius dimension, but what I need is a diameter dimension. So I can convert it into a diameter by using this option. And the second dimension that has been given to me is this one, the distance between the extreme ends. So as of now, I've specified the dimensions that are given to me in the drawings, but I've not given the exact values. This should be 2 units, this should be 4 units, but I'm not doing it right now. I'll move to step 3, that is specify appropriate constraints and eliminate all weak dimensions. So how do we specify constraints? As you can see up above in this palette, you have all the constraints constraint options available with you. So what are the constraints that we can apply? We need to make this arc tangent to this line. So I've selected the tangent constraint. How can we apply it? I need to first click on this line and then on this arc, and it makes it tangent. I'll do a similar thing by pressing on this arc here and this line here. And I'll do a similar thing again by clicking on this line and this arc. So as you can see, as and when I specified the appropriate constraints on this geometry, all the weak dimensions have been eliminated. So that was step 3. So what's step 4? Step 4 is to specify exact dimensions. So in order to specify the exact dimensions in one shot, what we need to do is we need to select the entire geometry that we have created by dragging over it. And then there's this option which you call as modify right in the top. So you click on modify, and then there is this option of locking the scale. So you lock the scale and you can specify one out of these 2 dimensions. Let's say I would like to specify the exact dimension for SD6, that is the horizontal length here. The exact dimension is 4 units. I'll type 4 and I'll click OK. I'll refresh it and you can see I've made the desired geometry, and this is the only dimension that's not appropriately specified. I can double click on it and specify it as 2 units. So this was the final geometry that was required to be constructed. So always follow these 4 sequential steps. Step 1, always create a rough sketch. Step 2, specify all dimensions provided in your drawing. Step 3, specify appropriate constraints and eliminate all weak dimensions. Step 4, specify exact dimensions. So that's it for this session. Keep on modeling. Thank you.